Hello everybody. Today I'm going to talk a little bit more about our overpronation conversation. I was mentioning that overpronation isn't really a thing. You either pronate or you don't. You either pronate well or you're creating some other shape. Last time we were talking about which of the different types of things your body might be doing to try to create a pronation when it's missing. And today we're going to talk about one of the things that might be missing for you. For most people it is missing, is a good stable tripod underneath your foot. Now we want to have a nice stable tripod being underneath the ball of your big toe, the ball of your little toe, and your heel at the back. If it's not a wide tripod like that, it might be something else. It might be with pressure under the ball of your second toe, under the ball of your fourth toe, and somewhere off, not quite in the center of your heel. So we want to try to give your nervous system some feedback about where that tripod should be so that we can start getting a little bit of a better base of support underneath you. Some more stable legs gives your brain, your nervous system a little more safety so it can start moving body parts that it's been holding back on moving, because without that stable foundation underneath, it just simply doesn't want to do those motions. It's trying to keep you safe. But if we give you a more stable foundation to stand on, it is freed up to start doing some other motions that have been absent from it entirely. Today, I want to give you two different movements. They're opposite movements. One of them is a pronation with some props to help you get a wider tripod, and the other is getting you out of pronation and into supination, the opposite shape. Also with some props to help you create those shapes. So let's get started. Now I have a wedge and a towel, but you can use whatever kind of props you have. If you have a rolled up towel, a couple of those, that's totally fine. What we're going to do here is we want to make give some stimulation to your nervous system to find out where your tripod is. Ideally, it would be under the ball of the big toe, under the ball of the little toe, and then back on your heel. Now we're just going to worry about the front, the ball of the foot for now. That'll be enough stimulation to start with. So we're going to put something underneath the ball of your big toe and something underneath the ball of your little toe. Trying to widen out your tripod as much as we can to show your nervous system that out here, as far wide as we possibly can, that is where your base of support is. Rather than, for some of you, if you pulled out those cards and noticed that there's some places that are missing in the pressures under your feet, maybe your tripod is as narrow as this, or even as narrow as just here. So you just have this narrow little triangle trying to hold you up with all the structures above it. Kind of unfair. It's kind of like being on stilts or on an ice skate. So let's get you nice and wide with your tripod. I'm going to place the ball of my big toe under, I have a wedge, but you can use a towel. We're going to put the ball of the baby toe up on the wedge or the towel so that we're nice and wide with that tripod. Now I'm going to stand up and I'm going to go in a little bit of a split stance, so it's just the width of my regular step. I want to take my weight forward. So I'm going to stay nice and tall, and I'm going to shift my weight forward so that the belly button is over top of the middle of my foot at the front. I can bring my heel up at the back because that helps me take all of my weight forward. I want to try to get about 95% of my weight onto that front leg. And we're going to allow those props to give us some feedback to get ourselves on top of that leg, with the tripod being wider than we're probably used to having at all. And at the same time, to facilitate that, I'm just going to let that foot completely relax. So if I just let it relax and let the arches drop and let it do its thing, it's going to get some new feedback from having that new set, the props there, giving it a new sense of where its tripod belongs. Now, of course, I encourage you to do this on both feet, but for brevity's sake, we're going to do it just on one leg. Now that is pronation. That is dropping all of the arches down to the ground, spreading out your foot. Your foot is getting longer and wider with the tripod on the ground. We're going to do the opposite, supination, which is lifting all your arches off the ground, keeping that tripod on the ground. Your foot will get shorter and narrower as you do that. So we're going to do our opposites. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to keep the same wedging position here so that we can have that same idea that your tripod is way out here, not way down in here. What we're going to do is you're going to stand with your feet side by side, and we're going to get you to shift your weight over onto that leg. So again, most of my weight is on this leg. And as I straighten my knee, I'm going to rotate in this direction. I'm going to rotate towards the foot that I'm standing on, and then just relaxing. I'm going to shift my weight over, so 95% of my weight is on this leg, and I'm going to rotate towards it. Now, as we do this, there can be a tendency, if we're having an immobile foot, our tendency is to do this. We want to stay with our props, so we're still feeling that we have contact with them. We're not pushing down into them. We still have contact with them so that we're nice and wide in our tripod while our arches lift up as we do this motion. I'm not asking you to lift your arches. They simply will lift as a result of us doing this motion. So here the idea is to give your sense of supination, getting out of your pronation position, while you have that nice stable tripod, that base of support. And that's great if you tend to have ankle sprains or being unstable on one of your feet. If you have a super narrow tripod, you're going to be spraining your ankle or having trouble with stability there. So try out both of those exercises. Of course, do them on both sides and see if giving yourself a better tripod can be a solution to some of the things that you're feeling in your body. And if you want to continue on with me, look in the description bar. You can look for my programs, my free sampler, and my Move, Heal, Thrive program to help you restore your body's factory settings. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for joining.